Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we will see some significant aspects of the story The Prison, written by Bernard Malamud in 1950. Before moving to see the significant aspects of the story The Prison, firstly we will see and we will read something about Bernard Malamud, who's the writer of the story. Bernard Malamud's time period is 1914 to 1986. He is a Jewish American writer who is incredibly influential in the Jewish American literature movement, which began in 1930s. And Jewish writings primarily focus on the lives of Jewish immigrants in US. He used to portray the Jewish young men who are unsuccessful, who are unhappy, and they have unfulfilled dreams and unhappy lives, and who are the victims of sufferings, poverty, and unsuccessful, unhappy life. Disappointment, despair, these are the key traits that we may see in Bernard Malamud's writings, and his character go through these kinds of states and problems most of the time. The settings in which he depicts his characters, they used to be, and most of the time they are the impoverished settings, and his protagonists, they have to get over many obstacles in life. Hence we see that Malamud discusses sufferings, limitations of man, and he used to point to the dilemmas, the problems faced by men, the Jewish men, in a society, in such a social structure where they are a victim of poverty, injustice, and social entrapment. So mainly we see that his works depict the sufferings of working class, and particularly the Jewish working class. In the present story, we see the character of Tommy Castelli, who is the main character of the story. He is the protagonist of the story. Around him, the whole story revolves. And the story is a third-person narrative. And this third-person narrator that tells us the story through the point of view of Tommy Castelli. In fact, he mirrors Tommy Castelli's feelings, his thoughts, and his speech. So we see the whole story through the eyes of Tommy Castelli, the way he thinks about his state, his life conditions, and the way he thinks about other characters, including his wife, his father, and his father-in-law, and the whole situation. We see it through Tommy Castelli's life, and we see the characters through Tommy Castelli's point of view. So we needed to keep this thing in mind before we are going to take up the analysis of the characters and analysis of the story. Firstly, who's Tommy Castelli? He is the protagonist of the story who wanted to get rid of his poverty, who wanted to get rid of his surroundings. And he had been depicted as a kid of dreams and schemes. He was called Tony when he was a child, and he was a kid of dreams and schemes. It was after his marriage with Rosa that Rosa changed this Tony into Tommy. As we see in the text, this is being referred to that Rosa has changed this Tony into a Tommy. His father arranged his marriage with Rosa because Tommy, in an effort to get rid of his poverty, he experimented so many things, but he was being unsuccessful. His father, in order to save him, he arranged a deal with Rosa's father, and he got married with Rosa, and he was not happy with his marriage. This is being shown in the text. He ran a shop, and the shop was owned by his wife Rosa, and this was shown during the whole story that he regretted about his past, and he also wanted to change his present. He wanted to get rid of his wife, of this store, of his present life, and wanted to achieve something else. But he was shown as a helpless fellow. He had no control on his life conditions. No matter how many efforts did he make to get rid of all this boredom of life, he was unsuccessful. He tried to save money, and he also made many attempts to save money. This we may see in the textual quotes. He tried to escape from Rosa and the store, but he failed in his attempts. He is being shown having a tedious, boring routine, And most of the time, in order to save himself from this boring routine, boring waking hours, he used to prefer to sleep. Therefore, he looked forward to an hour of sleep in a day and an off on Tuesdays. This way we may also see in the text, and we are going to support all these points with the textual quotes. So these were some of the key features about our main character Tommy, and now we will move on and see who's Rosa. So Rosa, as depicted by the narrator, or we may see that depicted by the narrator, she is shown as a bad-tempered and ill-mannered woman. And this is being shown that Tommy was neither happy with the store nor he was happy with Rosa. As the narrator says, he wouldn't spit on a candy store, and Rosa was too plain and like a chick for his personal taste. So he was trapped in an unhappy life with an unlikable partner. So Rosa also used to scream at him many times, and this is also shown that when he got a slot machine in order to make money, he was being screamed at by Rosa. But the narrator also shows Rosa as a smart lady, and this we may see in an instance where this is shown that it happened that Rosa, who trusted nobody, had just hung a mirror on the back wall. This shows that Rosa has been a clever and smart lady, though she is also shown as a person who's having suspicion about people, but at the same time she's a smart lady. Therefore she hung a mirror on the back wall, and this is through that mirror on the back wall that Tommy was able to spot the little girl stealing the candies from the jar. So we are going to make our own interpretation of Rosa, but these are some of the details given in the text that I have narrated over here. The next character, who's also a very important character, is the character of the little girl. And the character of the little girl is important in a way because it represents Tommy's childhood, and it also tells us about Tommy's and other character trait as a reformer, as he wanted to bring, and that was a positive trait of Tommy, that he wanted to reform the life of the little girl so that the little girl does not go through the same problems and the same miseries and disappointments and misfortunes as he had been a victim of. So the girl was a thief, and she represents Tommy's childhood, and the way she made the stealing, she does not appear to be a first-time thief, rather she was quite expert in that. She was shown as a tricky and clever fellow, as she uttered in order to gain her mom's favor. At the very end we see that in order to gain her mom's favor, she says, "They want chocolate for you." And the girl was also depicted as an unthankful, ungrateful soul, as Tommy, though he tried to help her escape by saying that he gave her the chocolates, she sticks her tongue out at him while leaving with her mother. This is shown in the text at the end, that she sticks her tongue out at him while leaving with her mother, which is a very rude and mischievous gesture, and at the same time that shows her unthankfulness and her ungratefulness towards Tommy. With this we will move on towards the title of the story. The title is very much significant. The title of the story is Prison, the prison. And the prison, literally the prison, actually that refer to a place where the people are confined and people are imprisoned. And metaphorically and symbolically we see that in this story the life is metaphorically a kind of a prison for Tommy. So Tommy's life is a prison. How Tommy's life is a prison we may see in the text, that his life is being depicted as bored and tedious life, and secondly he also does not have any control on his life conditions, and he is being shown as a helpless fellow who could not live the life he wanted to, who could not live the way he wanted to. And as it is shown in the text where where the narrator says, time rotted in him, and all he could think of the whole morning was going to sleep in the afternoon, and he would wake up with the sore remembrance of the long night in the store ahead of him while everybody else was doing as he damn pleased. But he could not do what he pleased to do. So he is merely passing the life, or maybe we may see that life was passing him. He's trapped in a drab, dull, and monotonous routine of life with an unlikable and unappealing partner. And the narrator says he cursed the candy store and Rosa, and cursed from its beginning his unhappy life. He was not at all happy with his life, and he was a victim of disappointment and despair. And life was a prison for him from which there is no escape. He thought about life. You never really get. This was his idea about life, that you never really got what you wanted. No matter how hard you tried, you made mistakes and couldn't get past them. You could never see the sky outside or the ocean because you were in a prison, except nobody called it a prison. This is very, very much important, because when you are in a prison, you could not see the sky outside or the ocean. You could not live the way you wanted to. So the same is the case with Tommy, that he could not live the way he wanted to. He could not spend his life the way he wanted to. Therefore, life was kind of prison for him. Hence the title, metaphorically, that refers to Tommy's life. And all the traits of the prison, they apply to the life that Tommy was living. Now we will have a look at the themes. So themes of the story, they include desire for escape, desire for freedom, lack of control, theme of loneliness, helplessness. Helplessness is also a very important theme of the story. Theme of the miseries of working class, lack of hope, theme of money, theme of American dream. So for the American dream, I really wanted to read these lines, that Tommy was the victim of the American dream, which posits that anyone who works hard can. So what is an American dream? That says that anyone who works hard can achieve success in the United States, no matter their social class. So this was what Tommy was doing. He does not have his social stature does not support him, but he had this feeling that if he is going to work hard, he is going to achieve a good social stature in the society in the United States. The American dream is a happy way of living that is thought of by many Americans as something that can be achieved by anyone in the US, especially by working hard and becoming successful. He was a victim of this American dream, but we may see that he was not able to achieve it till the end of the story. Now have a look at the textual quotes, and these textual quotes they would support the different kinds of themes present in the story. For example, if we see the desire for change, his desire for change and his desire for better life, and he's having his regret about his past, this would be shown through these quotes. So firstly, we see that Tommy Kesley's life was a screaming bore. Screaming bore is the term used in the story. And he's trapped in an unfulfilling life as told by the third person narrator. So these were the things: being trapped in the old mistakes. Then before he knew what was going on, he had been frightened sick by the whole mess. He wouldn't spit on a candy store, and Rosa was too plain, and Lanka checked for his personal place. So these are the things that show that he just was not happy with his life, and he had regrets about his past, and he wanted to change his life conditions. And in order to change these life conditions, he had made many attempts, but all were failed. He had a lack of control on his life conditions. He was powerless. He was a victim of, he suffers a lot. And this was shown that now we have a look at his tedious, boring life routine. That was how he had landed on Prince Street in the village, working from 8 in the morning to almost midnight every day, except for an hour of each afternoon when he went upstairs to sleep, and on Tuesdays when the store was closed, he slept some more. So his life routine included, his working hours include, they start from 8 in the morning to midnight every day. You see that this was a very kind of a tight schedule for him, and this was very tedious a routine for him, where there was only an hour off each afternoon, and there was only one day off, that was Tuesday, during the whole week. And these were the moments which he really wanted to have and he looked forward to all the time, which shows that his waking life was bored. Generally, so unhappy existence, no control, no choice, no power. This is being shown like generally the mornings were this way, but after the slot machine, usually the whole day stank and he along with it. So these were the lines are very important. Time rotted in him, and all he could think of the whole morning was going to sleep in the afternoon, and he would wake up with a sore remembrance of the long night in the store ahead of him, while everybody was doing as he damn pleased. He cursed the candy store and Rosa, and cursed from its beginning his unhappy life. Money, escape, American dream. As he tried to, he got a slot machine in order to make money, in order to got a stranger in the United States, but he was not able to do that because that was not a legal thing. His desire for change, he found himself thinking about the way his life had turned out, and then about the girl. He felt he had to do something for her, warn her to cut it out before she got trapped, and fouled up her life before it got started. So her character as a reformer, because he wanted to change the life of the girl, even if he was not able to change his life, he wanted to have a little control, and he wanted to change the life of the girls, but there he also failed. His heart beat hard, and so when he tried to reform the child and he wanted to give her the advice, he was not able to do that. He lacked courage, and he just wanted to say it, but it was not able to say. And what he wanted to say, this is narrated over here: don't do this anymore or you will suffer your whole life. Doesn't want the girl to suffer the way he does. So it means here that states that he identifies with the girl. The girl seems to him like his own childhood, like what he did in his childhood, and he wanted to reform the girl so that the girl does not make the similar or the same mistakes that he made, and he is suffering for those mistakes. His despair, his hopelessness is also shown at various instances in the text, like he thought about life. You never really got what you wanted. So this was his idea about his life, that what life is. Life is where you really don't get what you wanted. No matter how hard you tried, you made mistakes and you couldn't get past them. You could never see the sky outside or the ocean because you were in a prison, except nobody called it a prison. So a disappointment settled on him. He lay motionless without thought or sympathy for himself or for anybody. At the end, what happened? He tried to help the girl, and in an attempt to help the girl, he also shouted and hit Rosa. But that was also of no use because the girl, like a grotesque dancer, half ran, half fell forward. But at the door, she managed to turn her white face and thrust out at him her red tongue, which shows her unthankful, her ungrateful, rude attitude. And she showed no care for his sympathy. And this is also a reference. This refers and this indicates that the girl is not going to get change, and the girl is not going to be reformed like Tommy didn't, or this in a way that also reflects Tommy, that despite all this, despite his regret, he was not able to reform himself, and he was not able to make a good choice or to make a good change in his own life. Similarly, he was not able to bring a change in the girl's life. So the girl, in a way, that mirrors Tommy. So this was the analysis of the story, and the story was told by the third person narrator, we must remember, and the third person narrator mirrors Tommy's feelings, Tommy's thoughts, and Tommy's speech. Hope you would find that interesting and helpful. Thank you.